And we're live, baby.
Hey, what up, man?
Hello.
How y'all doing?
We're good.
Welcome to the CARESNONE B-Dope podcast. I am your host, Chris CARESNONE, and with my co-host,
Hello.
De'Aaron Fisher. What's up, baby?
Sensational. How are you?
You feeling good?
Chilling like a villain.
We just had a powerful conversation in the car.
We always do, man.
Yeah, every
That's
time.
all I was like, man.
Every time. And I can't wait to talk with it to Tom. Tom, how you doing, baby?
I'm good, man. We're in the building.
Looking
We're
good,
busy,
clean
dude.
shaven?
Yeah, I'm clean shaven. I got a haircut yesterday.
Yeah, you look lined
came
up.
in and yeah.
Who lined you up?
And don't even ask. And wore a button down for whatever reason today.
Yes, you did.
What are
Where y'all
dressed
going?
up for? I mean, we're going to dinner, but I felt summer. You know, I was like, it's Friday. I look like less of a schmuck.
No, I'm saying, what's for dinner?
Oh, we're going to some Mexican place right down the street.
Oh,
So it
okay,
should be good.
okay.
Nothing too fancy, but I'm probably coming back after that, dude. It's been busy, so I'm working.
Oh, yeah?
really?
I was just saying before we went live how your shit's blowing up.
Line blowing up.
Yeah. So no, it's good. It's good. We're having like a Dungeons and Dragons group coming in tomorrow, 6 of them, and so we're doing a little setup over there. So
It'll be a pod?
nah, it's like yeah, I guess kind of, but it's like they you know,
Or
if you know
a
how
panel.
the game works, yeah, it's like 6 of them. They're gonna do a dungeon. I don't know.
You said they're gonna do a
That's a
They're
big
gonna
ass- it's a big
quest.
ass
You
industry.
know, I
That's
don't know.
cool.
So yeah,
Good shit.
Are you saying, would you say that
That's
the
nice.
podcast stuff, is it possible that it could be the leading thing in your brand?
for my life? We were just talking about it. No, but I am going to spend some money, a good chunk of money actually. We have plans in the work. I hired a designer to come out. She's going to help build some sets over there and such. We have some more plans for the front room. This area will probably remain pretty the same.
Yeah, this is
but
the GOAT area.
This
Yeah.
is the goat area. Yeah. So we got things going,
Okay.
So doing that, and
Got
I'm trying
different
to
sets.
get more studio stuff, but it's been good. But I don't know if it'll ever like exceed what the video company does, but it can definitely be doing more, So I'm gonna be
Because it
prioritizing
seems like, from what I can tell, there's a lot of people that know about the Chicago Podcast Studio.
I hope. I'm glad to hear that.
And I don't know about y'all, but I try to tag shit as much shit as I can,
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
if I'm part of it.
Good shit, man.
It feels right.
Different
I
stages over
appreciate
here
that.
and
I don't want your
everything.
opinion, Tom.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So me and Derek were in the car, and so lately, I think is a fair way to say it, we've been talking about anxieties, typically social, because that's the one I've been dealing with and helping people with. But it's self-development-y, social anxiety stuff.
Yeah.
That's like the heart of what we talk about.
Mhm.
So I had ChatGPT ask 10 questions that we could ask each other on this pod and talk about it. That would help people out. And I showed Derek, and then he was like, these aren't my experiences, because he's not really an anxious human being, especially socially. His whole brand literally proves that. And I was saying, can you still help people, even though that's not your experience, by like maybe getting outside of what you were about and still helping people, even if that's not your experience? So let me ask you this. Would you say you deal with anxiety, especially socially, at times?
I'm gonna say no, not socially, really, because I feel like I've always been confident, I guess, and I don't have. This is gonna sound bad, but buckle in. But
There's none.
I feel like I grew up in a good neighborhood. I grew up white and decent looking, so like I've never had that like.
Says who?
So I never have had that like problem where you could like where my confidence was like low, or I was like, oh, does this person like me? Do they not? Like, obviously there's probably plenty of people that don't like me and stuff like that. That's totally fine. But I feel like those things that I just mentioned always kind of gave me this like sense of like, I'm good in this conversation. I'll be fine. And I think I'm well spoken enough as just a business owner and as an individual that like I don't get nervous around people. So like socially, sure. Social gatherings, like big groups and stuff like that. We have a wedding tomorrow and stuff like that. Like I feel more uneasy in those things, but I don't get like crippling anxiety where I'm like, I can't do groups. Like I don't like it. I don't prefer it, but I don't have like,
Which I think is a good point, because a lot of people will come to me and say, well, you don't seem like you have an anxiety like that. And it's like, well, mine might not have been crippling.
Mm-hmm.
Like some people will hit me up in the comments, y'all can read them. They're like, I can't leave the house.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, there's a whole, even where I thought I was at, there's a level that's crazy. Whereas Derek, do you ever get weird in large gatherings like that ever?
As weird how? What do you mean? What do you mean weird?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
So like with me, when I'm walking, let's say in a group of people,
Mhm.
you know what? Let's use the DoorDash, for instance. Let's say I'm carrying this DoorDash bag, right? If I went into like a nice restaurant, my feeling is like, or it was, not really that no more because I've been working on it.
Yeah.
But the feeling before was, these motherfuckers are judging me for having this DoorDash bag.
Mm-hmm.
That's what mine was.
Right.
That's where my anxiety. So, or they might look at me and think that my hairline's fucked up, or they might think of this, maybe I'm fat, or, you know, I just maybe, but then obviously we talked about, so
Yeah.
but that's just my own, that's what, because a lot of people say that that's not their anxiety. Some people's anxiety is literally physically having conversations with people.
All right.
Now, I feel like that would be easier for me, that once people started talking, that don't bother me. What bothers me is just walking into rooms where I didn't feel like that I was worth walking in. Like maybe I feel less than.
Mm-hmm.
So have you ever felt any kind of weird feelings in large groups like that?
I guess I have a lot of, I guess the thing is I probably don't feel less than. So that, I guess I don't feel that feeling a lot. I can't say that I've never felt it. But even in those situations where I'm walking into look, I'm a black dude with dreads living in the Gold Coast of Chicago. I'm not the one that's the typical person walking into these places, these restaurants, all this other stuff, you know. But like, I'm kind of used to that. Like, I expect to kind of be the only one doing the shit I'm doing sometimes. I expect people to look at me and stare or whatever, but it's like me being a different person isn't anything that's bad. You know, it isn't going to harm me. They aren't going to jump on me because I'm different. So I just kind of but I also look at different as beautiful too. So I kind of have a different mindset. I don't think about those moments as being a socially anxious thing, like a socially negative one. It's just kind of like people being interested because they aren't used to seeing something that's different.
Essentially, right?
Yeah.
So let me ask you this.
Because I'm also used to people looking at me like a fucking zoo animal anyway.
So you mentioned a few seconds ago that you're a black man in the Gold Coast with dreads.
Yeah.
So there's obviously a stigma about black men with dreads.
Right.
What if a black man with dreads comes to you and says, man, and we kind of talked about this in the car, give them advice if you choose to. That's the question I'm asking you. If you can answer if you want. What advice would you give to that person who's like, how do you do it?
How do I do what?
How do you go into that room and not feel like everyone's looking at me to the point where I feel like I'm this criminal, I'm this thug, and all the like the John Morant situation? A lot of people
see. That's the thing. I just understand it. Like, you may look at me like that. I don't give a shit though. That's your perspective. It's not. You're not attacking me on it. So, and if you do, come intellectually holler at me. Like, let's talk about it. Let's talk about how ignorant you are. You know what I mean? So, like, I understand that the world is ignorant, and just because you're in a room that some may say is more upper echelon than I deserve to be in, that doesn't make you less or more ignorant. You know what I mean? Right. So I always look at it as I love when people judge a book by its cover. I love it. That's my whole life's experience. So I kind of comfortably
to be judged as. What do you mean to be judged? Wait, can you rephrase?
When you judge a book by its cover?
Yeah, because what does that mean to you then?
Well, typically with my life experience, it's always been like a shocker for some reason that I am the way I am. You know, it's like, oh, you know how to do this, or you've done this, or you think this, or you know, so it's always like a judge a book by its cover before you actually know what it is.
And you say you want that.
Well, I understand that that's a part of the experience of life. So I'm not going to go against the grain of that. Doesn't give me anxiety. That I understand it. So it's like, I'm not afraid of it. I welcome it, because other than that, you're going to be afraid to move forward in life. You're going to be afraid to do anything if you're letting other people's judgments make you socially anxious and then not be able to experience the life you want to live. So
it's almost as if you're saying, or not as if you're saying, it is what it is. Yes, some people could potentially think that way, but why should that deter you from still doing shit you want to do?
Right. And that's just, okay, the comfortability that I have with that, though, and we were discussing that in the car, is just, I guess, understanding why people, if that's your anxiety, understanding why those people maybe would judge you. Maybe that's the issue. Maybe understanding that the issue might not be you. It may be your understanding. Like you always say, it's not the way you would.
If you change the way you look at things,
Right.
the things you look at change.
Exactly. So you might be thinking that people are looking at you and they're judging you and all that stuff, right? But really ask yourself, why do you think that? Not necessarily internally, but externally. What would make them judge you? What would historically make them judge you? Okay. And then figure that out. Why would they be judging you? Figure out the ignorance of why that is, because it's all going to be ignorance. And then
So
push
it's almost like
past
you're
that.
saying, look at that from first principles thinking. Like,
Yeah.
let's break it down. And the reason I want to bring Tom into this, remember, Tom, when you said you changed to iPhone?
Yeah.
And you were a Joy guy, but then let me ask you about this same. We might have talked about this episodes ago, but how do you feel about the judging a book by its cover?
I mean, I think stereotypes and things of that, they always like are somewhat rooted in truth, but with maybe with the exception of like Android and stuff like that. Like the shit with that is ridiculous, because like we had a group in just the other day talking about that, where she was like dating and she's like, yeah, you know, you're on the app and then you take it off the app and they see that it's a green message. She's like, if people just won't respond back, and it's like, that's ridiculous. You know, like you shouldn't judge someone that hard based off of like their phone carrier or their phone preference. But yeah, I've come around from that, but I think stereotypes and things of that nature, you know, sometimes are rooted in truth, but obviously get like a blanket thing that, like, you know, I think as a white guy, you know, you see a big black guy in a dark alley and you're like, this is a threat. This is potentially danger, that I would naturally just not feel quite the same with a white person, which is fucked up, but that's just how, you know, life is.
Yeah. So, but in your experiences, those times that you felt that, has it ever happened?
I would say 99% of the time, no. And it's like, you know,
but there's that 1% time where the big black dude did something to you.
No, it's not
like nothing like that. But, you know, I think that, I don't know. I've never had any experiences of going down a dark alley and walked past 55 black guys and nothing.
Hey,
and then
come
like,
here.
No, but I'll say that to interject on that. I grew up on the west side of Chicago in Austin, and I grew up and I was told, when you see a group of black dudes, you go across the street. So I've even have that mentality even, and I had to check myself with that growing up, being from Chicago and having to keep my head on the swivel and judging people with the quick judgments and things like that. So it's a built-in system, though. It's not to beat yourself up about, you know what I'm saying? But it's a system that's been built over time. And I'm just saying that, I guess, as we were saying in the car a little bit earlier, that's kind of what, just understanding what's at place, understanding the social environment that you're in, and I guess the anxiety that you may be feeling, understanding how that even probably came about would probably, well, that's what helps me calm potential socially anxious situations. Like I try to have an understanding of what's going on. I try to be aware of everything first and foremost. And when you become aware of everything, or try to be, then you become calm in life and you become just non-anxious.
Yeah, so we were saying in the car, Tom, tell me what you think about this. The reason why De'Eric, and I think I'm starting to learn this too, is, let's say a situation happens. Let's say somebody gets mad about somebody for something like, you cut me off. Life situations. To look at it from almost this bird's eye view of human beings are just animals living amongst each other and they're figuring it out. So for instance, what is stopping me from right now going crazy berserk on you and just starting to punch you?
Nothing.
That's my point. But the capability is there. And all of us as humans, we all have the capability to make whatever decision we make. You can't really control it, but we got to live amongst each other, right? So what do you think? Do you think that that's a smart way to look at life, is to look at us as if we are animals just doing animal shit? And would that allow you to be a little bit more lenient or maybe understanding of when people make decisions that don't necessarily align with your own?
I don't know if I'm answering this correctly, but, you know, I feel like in general, people assume the worst. You know, you see some just again guy and down the alley, you're having to walk down the alley too, and you see this guy and you're like, immediately you see this person, you're like, I let the dog out late at night and I'll just see someone like walking down the block and I immediately, and I'm like, this guy might have to kill him. He's gonna kill me. Like I just, you know, and it's like, it's just a figure in the night, you know, he's just probably walking late home from the L. Like I can't even see the color, male, female, nothing, but I'm like,
It's a
this
figure.
I might have to kill it. Like
Right.
I might have to defend myself.
Right.
And I think people naturally assume
The worst.
the bad things are going to happen. Exactly. And like you said, it's like, has anything ever happened? Have I ever been mugged in an alley? No. But like,
And listen, and hold on. And I think a lot of people agree with that. Most,
Yeah.
especially from the comments that I've read, is that people do assume the worst.
Yeah,
And but I think that that's been like a gift and a curse to us as humans.
absolutely.
Because the gift of that is we've been so aware of what could potentially happen, and we've designed our lives so we can stay safe from a lot of things. So if we see, so we're back in the day, you see a goddamn saber tooth,
Hey, for real.
right? We need to be able to know that shit, and then we figure it out so we can protect ourselves from that in the future.
Right.
So it's been good to assume the worst. I feel like our brains are designed to notice specific things and kind of cancel out the things that aren't deemed
Right.
necessity.
Right.
But I think the reason it's been bad also because a lot of us overthink that everything is fucked up.
And then to piggyback off that, what is the worst then? What then becomes the worst?
What do you mean?
Every situation is just the worst. And then what is the worst? So when something happens, is it really, I mean, it's bad, but is it the worst?
Like could it get worse?
You know what I mean? So that's what I mean. So maybe that becomes the anxious part of, or part of the personality that develops then, because it's like you're trying to differentiate what parts of your story is bad and what's supposed to happen and all this stuff. It's just the story. You're just on the journey, you know? So what is the worst in that sense?
You know, that's interesting. I was talking to someone earlier today who said that they're scared of failure, right? And that's a big one. I would argue that's most people.
Yeah.
And I'm no longer scared of failure to the degree that it would keep me from doing something. I do think that there's a level of being scared of failure where you procrastinate or you know what I'm saying? You try to be a perfectionist with something.
Yeah.
You're doing too much thinking and you haven't made action. So I'm not saying that I'm 100% fearful, because sometimes and you know this for me specifically, it's like, okay, you got an idea, go do it.
Yeah.
And then you start thinking, and you know how we already talked about that. But I was thinking about this, like, damn, so some people, how do you look at failure?
Right.
And to me,
Okay.
I think I had to teach myself, and I still have moments to teach yourself that the failure is actually beneficial to you. Right? Am I crazy in thinking that?
No.
So when she said that, I was like, damn, I wonder. So what would you say to somebody who said, I want to be a nude model, Derek, but I'm afraid I'm gonna go up there and I'm gonna fuck up. I'm afraid of failing.
Right. So I guess, let me see. Let's see what my approach would be. I guess I would ask them why. Why would they be afraid? Why would they want to do it actually?
So
why would you want to do it?
To be a model?
Yeah.
Ooh.
That would be the first question. Why would you want to do it in the first place?
So let me ask you, why did you want to be a nude model in the first place?
Well,
you were kind of like thrown into the opportunity without really realizing it?
Yeah, but I also have to be the person that will just do it first and foremost. You know what I mean? So I wanted to do it just because I don't know. I just wanted to.
Well, you were already on the artistic model.
That's what I mean. Well, first of all, I'm a yes man. That kind of like, I like the new experiences and whatnot anyway. And I was kind of on that with my creative content anyway. So it kind of was on the wave of it. It's funny how you just lead your shit into boom, like you're a fucking model. But that's kind of how it happened. But now me developing more into it, it's kind of still the same play. It's like an anthropological take on being a human. Like I get to really discover what it is to be this thing that I get to be every day. You know, that all of us get to be, just on a more, I guess, personally physical perspective.
So how do you differentiate, or how do you balance looking at it as we are animals, human beings living versus me being part of the social economic?
Right.
How do you balance that?
You know, I guess that's part of my game. That's kind of the game that I go through in my head, because I look at all of this as just like from an aerial perspective, and we're kind of all animals in and shit. And I kind of look at us as that, but I just get that this is the language of it that we're doing it in. Because I guess what helps me is looking at other life. That's why I talk about chimpanzees and bonobos a lot, because that's the closest that I can compare to something that would be closest to a human, you know, and still have a social perspective, but still be looked at as an animal.
We came from motherfuckers, didn't we?
No. We didn't. But we have like relatives
that are
like,
very similar.
Yeah.
Okay.
We came from same lineage type shit. So 98% DNA matching shit. But what I'm saying is because of that, they have a lot of social, like we were talking about last time, a lot of their social structure is very similar to ours. But people can look at them as animals. They can't look at us as animals. I'm just able to do both of those things. But that's why Pretty Cool Apes was kind of a one of my brands that I built, because it's like my version of looking at humans as this animal thing, but then seeing them socially, you know, how chimpanzees dominate through a male-dominated society, and then bonobos dominate through sex in a female-led society. So it's like seeing both ways in which we try to do things, but from an animal's perspective. So that's what I look at in us, though. And even how we govern ourselves, I look at that as just a bunch of ants, how they govern themselves.
Right.
You know, it's
all
just
fucking living things.
all living things. But I'm able to just put that aerial view on us and not get wrapped up in. I understand the social shit before I get so emotionally wrapped up in it. I understand that aerial perspective on it as an animal. And then, like, what are we really wrapping ourselves up in before we really wrapping ourselves up in it?
Yeah, when you think about it, we really think about it.
Because we get wrapped up in a lot of shit, and this world is meant to market to get you wrapped up in this shit.
That's a great point.
And historically, like, getting you wrapped up in this shit. So I like to unravel it first and decide, like, what am I rapping?
Which one's worth rapping?
Exactly.
Tom, let me ask you, man. Do you notice yourself getting really wrapped up in this life thing and the things about life? And then can you also see a version where, damn, it's just, like, what does it really mean at the end of the day? Like, what does it mean?
Oh, yeah.
So, like, is that a thought that you have?
Is it a surprise that I'm kind of, I'd say I'm like, you know, now a happy person, but I've struggled with depression stuff. But I feel like whether it's real or not, who knows if I ever had like a gun in my head or something like that. But I'm always kind of on the mindset of like, you know, when it happens, bro. And I always even make jokes about just like, you know, kill me now, man. Like I'm tired. I'm good now. You know, like if I died today, I feel like I've lived a good life and whatever. So, what was the question?
Let me ask you. I heard a quote, and you mentioned depression. I heard a quote, and tell me what's your first thoughts when you hear this quote? Depression is just a magnification of past bad experiences. What does that make you think?
I think it can be a couple of things. And I feel like with me, depression has somewhat been, you know, I think depression for a lot of people can be, you're just not happy with where you're at, right? You know, it's, you're just not happy with how things are going, or you've had some traumas and stuff like that. I think it also can affect you of like, you know, the world only has so much to offer. And if you know, I personally sometimes feel like, you know, I've experienced a lot, and not that, there's not more to experience and stuff like that. But I know there's not going to be like crazy new experiences in the next 60 years of my life. Let's just say if I can make it that many. And so I think depression can just come from like, I don't, not that I don't buy into the whole like chemical imbalance and like, you know, all that sort of stuff. But I think people can just be genuinely depressed because they don't like think that, you know, they know what is on the table and what's available and what life is, and they're like, I don't really care for that.
It's almost like I've heard a quote where I don't know if I'm not quoting exactly, where they said,
I like that.
Where they said, when it comes to depression, with that's your avatar or your persona telling you that you ain't doing the thing to be that character. Now, again, you're not a depressed human being. But there's a lot of those people out there. And I guess, because I don't really feel like I'm depressed either. But to me, and so maybe I shouldn't speak on this too much. But to me, when you're depressed about, we talked about this a few episodes ago, when you're depressed about something, typically you're focused. You're saying is you don't think you're where you're supposed to be. I'm thinking that it's more about thinking about something in the past.
I think it could be both. Probably. I mean, I
think it can be both. Like
you could be definitely where you're
everything, man. You know.
Yeah. I mean, I like the people definitely look at themselves when they get to a certain age. Even they're like, man, I'm not where I thought I would be, and maybe they're comparing themselves to other people. Maybe their relationships with their kids at a certain age or something like that, and then they get the whole, my present isn't where I want to be at 60 years old. I'm this man that's single and I ain't got shit to show for it, and you know, so. It could be.
Okay,
no, I'm about to say it can be both. It can be kind of a combination of things.
And I feel like there's a decent amount of stories of like people that, you know, from the outside looking in, like had it all and sometimes did, you know, like it's easy to be like, oh, look, you know, this guy had a lot of money and stuff like that. But like he had 6 divorces and like his kids hated him. That's like fine.
Yeah,
But there's
that's a lot of
still
people.
plenty of stories of people that are like, they had a successful career. Their home life was good. Their kids loved them. They were married.
Yeah.
They were like,
And still blew their brains
from the
out.
outside looking in, it really should be like, you know, what was the problem here? And like, I don't know if you guys ever listened to Linkin Park, but the lead singer of Linkin Park, he killed himself. And like, there's, you know, videos immediately surfaced from like 24 hours ahead of time. He's like playing games with his family and like his wife's there. Like he had a good life, you know, like a successful band, all this sort of stuff. And, you know, had struggled with depression the whole time. And like, again, I think it's like to some people, it's like, you could have everything and you're still just like, I'm good on this life thing. Like getting up in the morning, I don't know what it is. Like, I just don't want to do this anymore. And I, in a sad way, can appreciate and understand that. Obviously, I don't support checking out early, but like, you know, I don't totally think that, you know, it's just the way that like you looking at things. I think like sometimes depression can be kind of uncurable.
So it's like some people
Which would be a chemical imbalance.
Or just it is the way it is. I don't know. I mean, a chemical imbalance, perhaps, but to me, it's like,
Well, that's not the norm, no.
Is it more of an outlook on life?
maybe
It could be an outlook on life.
I
We
don't
all
know.
do have different outlooks because it could be this life can. So it's like for people who can look at life in a monotonous type of way, like I'm waking up every morning to go to this thing which is called death eventually. But yeah, I can see that being part of a depressive, like in a state of depression where it's like,
Yeah,
man,
'cause
the
it's
monotony
tough,
of of life. Well, we don't know when we're gonna go. We don't know how we don't know what we're going towards. Sometimes people don't even like what they see. So, and a lot of that involves, you know, experiences on this earth. Yeah, it's such a different mindset. It's such a different mindset. I haven't really gotten into it like that, but yeah.
I mean, I've had the thought before. When shit wasn't going well.
Yeah.
You know, like probably be a lot easier if I wasn't here. Wouldn't have to deal with the stresses of being, even like you just said, just being alive is fucking like.
There's stuff to do. Yeah. Even if you had $1 million and all the good things in the world, there's still a little bit of like, man, I got to do this. I got to pick up the controller and play. And if you don't feel like playing anymore.
Right. And it's so I get that I get it. I get it. There's like, and then at the end of the day, we all have our characters and our stories, and we all got our feelings and thoughts about this life shit. It really don't matter. Ultimately, at the end of the day, as far as anything that's tangible, right?
Right.
Because it'll be gone. Personally, when I have those split-second thoughts, or the times I've had them in the past, the reason why I don't go there is because of this fact alone. If someone offered me $1 trillion cash, no taxes, right? I just get to enjoy $1 trillion. And the only caveat was I couldn't wake up in the morning.
Right.
I'm not taking the $1 trillion. I don't think no one in this room would take the $1 trillion. Would you?
Well, some people would. Though,
I'm talking about just y'all specifically.
Well, we're just talking.
It's very generally speaking.
You can't give it to generations. You know?
Okay, because you know, I was
so
say,
and again, I know that's the one. I should have said that because people say, "Well, I don't mind dying for my family."
Even that's ridiculous.
So I'm gonna say that's off. It's right, but that's off the table for just the sake of this. Because I get it. Some people would definitely.
Well, that wouldn't be an exchange then at all.
What do you mean?
That wouldn't even be an exchange. It's like, why would I give you $1 million or $1 trillion if you can't enjoy it?
Well, the point of the thought experiment is if you wouldn't take $1 trillion to not wake up tomorrow, then your life you're proving that it's priceless. If I'm not willing to accept anything on earth to not wake up tomorrow, by definition, your life is priceless.
Right.
But it seems, and 99.99999% of people will probably agree with that. Then there will be that 0.1% that's like, you know what, fuck it. And that's been proven too. But most people, from my experiences, what I see online, most people probably won't take $1 trillion to not wake up unless they feel like their situation's that fucked up, where I might as well ball out. And some people do it. So what helps me is what I'm trying to get people to say, if that's you, if you wouldn't take $1 trillion, we got to remind you and myself that our lives are priceless. So even if your life is fucked up, even if you ain't everything's wrong. You got cancer. Your husband cheated on you. If the world, whatever your shit is, if you're still not willing to take the $1 trillion the next day, your life is seriously special as shit.
Right.
And it's priceless. So that's kind of been what I'm trying to help people realize. And that helps me get over that fundamental feeling, oh shit, this life shit. Damn, so it's all gonna just come to an end one day.
Mm-hmm.
So, but and then I'm also on the Stoics perspective. I know you have a weird feeling about the Stoics.
Do I?
But I remember you told me, maybe you don't, but I remember you told me a while ago that there's certain things about how they think that you didn't fuck with it. I could be wrong. But what I like about Stoicism is it is kind of matter of fact. This is what people do. This is what people don't. Life, it will come to an end, but to look at that as, damn, that's how special it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because think about it. Would you be as happy to do the things you do if you knew you'd live forever?
Said, would you be happy to do the things you do if you knew you'd live forever?
Yeah, let me ask Tom too. Tom, if you knew you weren't going to die ever, what would be the point in doing anything?
That's true.
Well, yeah, that was a great Ninja Turtles movie on that.
Was it? Yeah.
TMNT.
Really?
Yeah, it was this guy. This guy had found this one thing, and then it made him turn into a god. And he had his gang with him, right? Actually, his gang, they went into this world. They conquered this thing. They found it, and he and his gang were going to have immortal life. But then when he got it, he touched it, and he got immortal life. But his friends turned into stone. So he was able to live for thousands and thousands of years until somebody broke this spell. But he was, by the time like 3,000 years had gone by, he was like, I just want to die. Like, I've been every single president, king throughout history in the history books, all the people that you know, that was me. Like, I'm done with this shit. Like, so I know how to do everything. So he was kind of in that phase of it. He just wanted to be at peace with being able to go through the cycle of life. That's pretty much what.
So was that the lesson of the? That was a lesson.
Yeah. Being like not being greedy with shit, with having it all and hoarding all the experiences for yourself, but just going through the cycle of life and sharing it with people, not having it all to yourself. Because there's other people who were turned into stone. He couldn't even share his glory with them. He had to be alone doing this shit, playing different characters and stuff like that, but he couldn't share his glory. So because it was for a wrong reason why he was taking the shit. That's why.
You know, that's interesting because some shout out to my a good buddy of mine's father passed away recently. And this guy was one of the biggest Cubs fans on the history of Earth. Every game, knew what it was, knew who was pitching, knew what time the game was, right? But one of the biggest Cubs fans I know. When the time was coming near that he would no longer be with us, he didn't give a fuck about the Cubs. Zero, didn't give a fuck if people want the Cubs. Nope, don't care. All he cared about in his last moments was being around his people.
Mm-hmm.
Which, when I heard that story, it really helped me internalize, at the end of the day, what the fuck is all this shit that we're really trying to do, right? Like even me, for instance, I'm trying to save these lives, in my own for that matter, and I'm trying to make this big difference and have a lasting legacy and make it and just be successful, whatever I deem it. But when the shit hits the fan in the last 3 minutes of your life, will you give a fuck about any of that? Will you give a fuck about your bike? Will you give a fuck about Pretty Cool Apes? Will you give a fuck about your girl? I mean, not your girl, your nice car or your business? Nope. I don't think none of us will give a fuck on our deathbed. We'd probably give a fuck about the relationship we created. I would imagine. And I got some evidence, at least, from my mother who passed away years ago, and then his dad. And I was like, oh shit, we're just human beings making these meanings for things, which gives us meaning, which is dope, because that's how we get through life. But the real meaning will be it seems as though, in the relationship that you create. Yeah.
Because we're going to pass those relationships on.
But think about how wound up we get in this life shit. We get wound up.
Yeah. Because it's
but
relationship
we won't care
building.
about any of the shit in the last month of your life.
Right.
So that's just what's interesting me, which is helping me kind of like have less stress and anxiety about shit that, like, for instance, someone that makes a comment about my hairline. It's like, I won't care at all about that in the last month of my life. So why put any energy? Okay, so Tom, not specifically, but let's say Tom's like, Chris's business is terrible. It don't matter. It really don't fucking matter. None of it really matters ultimately until you give it meaning.
Yeah.
None of this shit matters until we give it meaning. Logically speaking. So it's like, so if anyone has like, oh man, I'm stuck in this way, this is who I am. It's like, that's just the way you label it, because you could choose. Again, I'm not saying it's easy. You got programming, years and years and years of being programmed. And I get it. It ain't gonna be, I can't just snap a finger and you get it. That you can just, I can't just change. I get that. But I do feel you can change the meaning of whatever the fuck you want to. I could choose to look at this podcast studio as nice. And then one day Tom could piss me off and I could say, I don't even like that podcast. It's a different meaning now just because of how I feel about him. Even though the same, the same situation. Or I'll give you another example. Let's say someone's driving, and maybe not you because you kind of look at the world from anthropological, but most people. They say you're driving, you're walking down the street, and then some kid, 18-year-old, drives by, says, "You fucking bitch," and then he drives off.
And kept going.
He just
kept going.
He's like, "Yeah, fucking bitch," right? And you'd be like, "Fucking idiot kid," right?
Yeah.
So you fucking bitch. Now imagine your mama says the exact same words. You fucking bitch. Same words.
Oh man.
But there's a difference. You'd probably care a little bit more if your mom said that versus the random on the street. Would you all agree with that?
Just riding down the street with
a random
bitch.
versus someone who you care about. The only difference between those two things is the meaning you put on it.
Yeah.
It's the same fucking words.
Mm-hmm.
You can look at essentia, is that how you say it? You can look at this water and say it's fire. He can look at the water and say that's the worst water I ever had. Me and Steve strongly disagree on what is good water. I think purified water is trash. I love spring water. And no one can convince me the difference. He's the exact opposite.
Mm-hmm.
But we're both tasting the same shit. So it's just the meaning and our experiences and our programming. And maybe one day I had some purified water that didn't taste good and it just stayed with me for years. And so even with you, so you're this person, but maybe something happened when you were 6 that told you that maybe it's okay to go fucking be yourself. So now that's who you are, but it's still just the meaning that you put on it.
Right.
Am I crazy in saying that?
No.
So that to me is the first principles way to change shit is to realize it's your thoughts, your brain, who you believe that you are is telling you that you're depressed. Unless you have a chemical imbalance. I don't really know about that. But if it's just these thoughts, but I'm serious, but if you have thoughts or I'm a loser or I'm not smart or I'm not beautiful, how many girls you done met that are very objectively beautiful by all standards that don't believe so?
Right.
Have you ever met someone who was clearly attractive? Everyone else would agree except for them.
Well, I mean, that's but
it's just a meaning that they put for something happened something happened in a life that led them to believe that. Whether it was the people who spoke to you, whether it's TV you watching, maybe watching the news. So I'm like, okay, so if you really could just understand that,
get an aerial view.
Get it?
Get an aerial view.
And I think that's the way, man. I really think that's the way. But again,
because we're so in it. Like you have to kind of get an aerial view on life to really set yourself, like reset. It's a reset to take yourself out of the jumble of society, And
bro, I was so not terrified, but I was so worried. I gave a fuck so much about the negative comments online. Right? And now this shit goes viral. And because people in your community and your audience are probably going to always ride with you, right? So they're the ones going to show love because they fuck with you. But these will go on someone's For You page that they don't follow you. So they're seeing this for the first time. And those people, you either fucking with their life trajectory or their life worldview, either they agree with it or they don't. So there's people out there that will leave some troll shit on your comments. And that used to bother me so much. Like, damn, am I really fucked up? Damn, is it too bad? And then I've actually made videos specifically wearing hats and not showing because I was so worried about the comments. But then when you break it down from this perspective, because I gave it the meaning, I chose to listen to what this person said and agree with it.
Yeah.
And if you want to get on some spiritual shit, which I know Tom don't, but if you want to get on some spiritual shit,
you gotta this right out.
I had a little drive-by.
Wow.
I believe that this whole thing this is gonna get deep, but I feel like what you experience is literally just your mind, just physically. You have your senses, you got your smell, your taste, your feel, and your hearing, and all that. And all that does is you get these sensory signals, and then your brain interprets it, and that's what you think. So like, again, we can look at the same thing, and our brains interpret it differently.
Right.
So what was the point I was trying to make?
I think based on your experiences, your brain's gonna do your damn.
No. Okay, yeah, you're right. So it's like, oh, so if we know that it's the meaning, we're talking about the meaning. If you know that your situation, you're giving this shit meaning, just start the process of trying to change what you give meaning to. Oh no, what I was saying is, yeah, if I look at you and I say, I don't know who you are, he probably thinks I'm fat. Right? Two things. One, how do I know what you're thinking?
Right. One.
What that means is probably what you think about yourself. Because if I can't prove with a group of people, if I walk into a Walmart and there's a bunch of people at the self-checkout and I'm weird, like, oh, everyone's looking at me, they're going to think that I'm gross, but no one said anything. You have no evidence whatsoever that this is what's accurately happening. It could be. Maybe every single person in this Walmart is looking at you. They proved the spotlight effect. They don't. But let's just assume that there is that 1% chance that every single human being is looking at your dreads. Okay? That's, you don't know that. So I'm trying to catch this. You don't know that that's accurate. So that's really what you think about yourself. Not you specifically, but because you can't prove it. And I've been trying to figure, like, how do I break this? I guess you could say, well, in the past, one time I went out and someone called me fat, but that was that one time.
I get what you're saying. I feel like, you got a mustard stain on your shirt, and like the whole rest of the day, you're just like, man, everybody's looking at my stain, and it's like they probably aren't even noticing. But like you said, it's like because you know it's there, you're projected into the world that everyone else is looking at it. So you can make the same thing for my bike or a car or something like that. You're like, oh, on this red bike, people probably think like, look at that prick on the bike. He's probably a douche. And it's like, maybe I feel that way about myself, but there's a vibe.
My point is, if that's a thought that could potentially pop off in your head,
what are you projecting?
Because I could argue that, again, if my brain is the one interpreting all this shit, that means everything is a part of me. You're a part of me because you're part of my brain interpreting this shit. This life, this thing we call life, reality. So you're just an extension of the things that are going on in my head. I mean, can you prove to me outside of that? Because the only way I even know you exist is through my brain and my senses interpreting you.
Right.
I just read some shit yesterday. Tell me this shit is wild. So they took imagine if I gave you a sphere object, and then I gave you a square object, a cube. So you got a sphere and a cube. Let's say you were blind. You weren't blind. Excuse me, you were blind as a kid, and I put these in your hand. And for the next 18 years, you never got to see, but you got to feel these. So this is a square or cube. This is a sphere. They proved that once you would be able to see, let's say 18 years, and now you get to see life, that you wouldn't be able to tell which one was the circle and which one was the sphere. But as someone like us, who part of our understanding of life is our visual representation, to us, it would make sense. How would you not know? Because we know that this is a square and this is a sphere. But you wouldn't really understand that if you've never seen the object. And I thought that was super interesting, because I'm like, damn. Because to me, it would make sense that you'd be able to figure out something that's a sphere.
Well, the sight of it, no. You wouldn't be able to figure out the sight of it.
But again, imagine you're born, you've never been able to see, and then they put these objects in your hand. They say this is a sphere. Yeah. And you would think you'd feel like the no grooves, no points, right? For 18 years, like I know this is for sphere. Right. This is for sure a sphere, because I've been told that this is the one, and then this one's for sure a cube. You never get to see it, but you know it because of the points. They proved that once you would be able to see, you couldn't tell which one was a sphere and which one was the cube.
Right. How so?
What was the reason? Because the reason why it's easy for us is because we've only ever known visual part of understanding reality is with our visual.
Right.
That's the only thing that we know. So to us, it's how would you not know? Because it's hard for us to get outside of that because that's the only way we've ever seen shit is through visually.
So the visual, right. So your visual would be impaired. They wouldn't understand it because they've never been able to interpret it visually.
Which is a crazy thought, like, because part of our understanding reality is what we see.
Right. I mean, blind people though, or people who've been blind and then they get to see again. I'm pretty sure they have a lot of those experiences, right? Or they
Yeah,
have some
but
stuff
doesn't it
on
make
that.
you like take? I feel like I kind of take a lot of shit for granted when you think about that.
Oh
like,
yeah, that's like one of those senses. Which one would you take away? Type of questions, you know?
Yeah,
That's a good question.
Yeah, which one would you?
like that? I don't know.
I can.
Wait,
that's the
what do y'all
toughest
mean?
question. Which out of the 5 senses, if you had to take away one, which one could you live
that's a great
without?
question. Tom, which one?
See, taste, touch, feel, hear,
And smell.
and smell.
I'd have to think about it, but I remember I've had like a
That's
nightmare
hard.
once or twice, and I lost my hearing. And for some reason, I feel like that's like the one you go to. Where it's like I'd still like be able to see and stuff like that. Because like I think you could get by in life being able to see, and being deaf is probably easier than being blind. But there's something about hearing that I'm like, that's kind of a big deal to me, you know. And I feel like you can still kind of experience, like, you know, it's, you don't think about it, but just because I do, you know, audio and stuff like that for a living, it's like it's kind of part of the deal, you know. Like imagine just like being at a beach, you're there, you can feel the sun on yourself, but you hear nothing. Like that would feel kind of weird too.
Weird.
But it's like you could feel the sun on you, not see the beach, but you hear the seagulls and the waves crashing, and like there's some part of that that sounds better.
You know, that's interesting you say that because we were sitting in how I got into the whole speaker realm is like one of if not the most powerful tool we have as humans is speaking.
Yeah.
Right? Storytelling?
Biggest tool.
Well, I guess you don't need to speak in order to storytell.
No.
So I guess
It's one of the biggest tools for storytelling.
Yes, but speaking is so vicious, right? And it can cause wars. It can create a whole army of people that kill a bunch of other people. Like what we say, this tool we call speaking is a vicious tool. But I think 99.99999% of people don't look at it as a tool. We don't really focus on how to use it, what to say. You know, like I feel like our speech, some obviously, but I feel like most people don't look at our speaking as a tool. And it is. You go to a job interview, you got to speak well to get the job. You trying to get a sales call, you have to
get taught more.
I feel like that's something we should. And me and you kind of started on that. Like, what do I? Oh, become a speaker. And then now obviously because the algorithms are fire. As soon as you get focused on some shit,
I know. I love
Google one thing and all of a sudden you bombard it, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, me too.
That's such a powerful
Being
part
intentional
about being
your
alive.
search.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So that's such a powerful tool. So it's like I'm getting all this speaker shit, right? And because I can just feel it in my life, like, oh, I did this for this. It's all opening up at the right time. And then I keep seeing it's like, yeah, people, we take it for granted, our speech.
We do.
So, which goes back to the original question. I think I need to hear something.
You got to hear something.
So what are you getting rid of?
Wait, what you getting rid
I guess
of,
that's the best. That's the better question. What do you get rid of?
Well, you're justifying them, but and I feel
and there's only one, right?
So we got sight, hearing, touch, feel. Right?
I guess
it's taste.
Taste probably.
But I feel like that's kind of. I don't know.
I maybe would have to do taste.
Taste, but I feel like that could get fucked up.
It can't be smell. Because smell would take care of your taste.
Yeah, we'll go with taste.
Because when I
smell and taste,
I couldn't smell
smell and
shit.
taste do the same. They do the same olfactory type of deal.
But I think everything would just be kind of weird, and I think that could probably cause some problems.
Yeah,
with yourself.
I'm going taste. Take my taste.
I'm gonna go taste. I have a great aunt who is blind, deaf, and mute, and I was like, yeah, that's wild. I've never seen anything, so she can't speak.
Since the beginning, or it became that way?
No, I think something happened to her. I think she might have been molested. This is like a family thing that they never, you know how the old black people don't talk about shit. But I think she was molested when she was younger, and I think it kind of messed. The family stuff is they don't say shit, but it's like messed some stuff up with her. Currently she's mute, deaf, and what do you call it? Was it mute, deaf, and
you said blind?
Blind. Yeah, excuse me. Mute, deaf, and blind. So literally no speaking, no hearing,
She's just blind and deaf. Being mute is
like you say,
I think more of a I could be
disability.
totally wrong, but I think it's more of a
Psychological?
I think it's more of a choice to some degree than like a physical
Okay.
impairment. I just want to say, maybe I'm wrong. Sorry, internet.
Right,
You
right,
gonna
right.
piss already off. I'm gonna clip that shit.
Nah, I understood.
I
Understood.
think if you're mute, some people like take that. It's like a not like a vow of silence, but like there are kids that
Right.
spend years in childhood not talking.
Well,
But I think it's a choice more so.
Have you met somebody like that?
Well, what's her name was like that. What was her name? Maya Angelou was like that. She didn't speak for like 5 years or some shit like that.
As a child or as an adult?
Yeah, no, for like 5 since she was a child, because she said something, she told something and somebody got killed and she thought her words made it happen. So she was like, my words are powerful, so I can't say shit. And she stopped talking for like 5 years, but she kept writing. She would write, and that's how she became like the greatest poet of all time.
It says that it's basically like an elective thing.
It is?
Basically.
Okay,
it's not
well,
recognized by a lot of people. Many
interesting.
characters choose to stop speaking for various reasons. Even more commonly, there are more characters who stop speaking after a traumatic incident. Which
So yeah, that makes sense then, because I think she was
but and
molested.
also, I mean, sure that, but like also, I feel like if you're blind and mute or blind and deaf, you struggle with just speech because you can't hear what you're saying.
Well, these weren't
and
all
stuff
at the
like
same
that.
time, though. Is what I'm saying. She was one way, and then
The
this
mute
stuff.
is I'm going to be honest, the only thing that adds up in that thing.
Yeah, that's the only thing
I don't
that.
know.
Well, no,
I
well,
don't think you.
what?
I mean,
Well,
like,
I don't. What
I
I
don't
didn't
think
look.
getting molested. Like you're just gonna like I'm blind now. Like I mean,
No. What I'm saying is, I didn't say that was the reason behind it. But what I'm saying, I was saying, as that. Well, first of all, what I was saying was, when you're getting information from these old ass families, they don't
Yeah.
say shit, and your information is jumbled up. That's what I really was saying. But she's had these ailments happen over time. It's just kind of been that way since I've
Like
known
one
her.
by one by one kind of thing?
Since I've known her, like the blind thing kind of came after a while. But since I've known her, she's never spoke. I've never seen her speak, never heard her speak or anything like that. And it's always been like, even if she was try to say something or not even try to say something, it would just not be words or anything like that.
You guys, and I'm sure.
So it wasn't like she just was like, I'm just mute. It was just like, no, I can't form the words. So
I'm sure you guys are not surprised with this,
sorry.
but I can't even fathom.
not opening that big
I
old
can't
mouth.
even
dude.
fathom not being able to say something.
Good.
Yeah, we got 10 minutes.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, we got 10 minutes. I can't even fathom that.
You say you can't fathom.
Not being able to talk.
Because again, I'm to me, and especially now, because I'm like, speaking is the best tool we have.
Although, dude, give it like a week, and Chris is gonna come in here and be like, "I'm taking a month off. I'm not talking." I'm gonna be.
I know, right?
Like to see someone like this, like,
you already know.
like the
It's gonna be a
silence
challenge.
retreat, it will be. Wait, I'm already contemplating it.
I mean, you've done the famines or not the famines. You've done
Whole famine at the crib, just me
you've
and
done the whole not eating elective.
you know, I do like a
People do that.
challenge.
That's the thing to
Nah,
not
yeah.
talk. I mean, a month is a long time, but to
I mean,
like
some of those
not-
monks go like 20 years and shit.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Like it's a thing.
Damn, that's
And I'm
crazy.
sure there's some
Probably some
lessons.
That's some
powerful.
heavy
I
mindfulness.
know we talked about this. Y'all laughed at me, but y'all remember
laugh
the-
at your ass again. You say some shit.
Yeah.
Y'all don't remember the silence retreat?
The silence. for sure.
Oh
the one
man,
that
I
Aaron-
remember this shit.
Aaron Rodgers went to just 5 days in silence.
Oh yeah, no, I did not.
listen. I know it's wild. If you go on the
Ah.
website
I love it.
and then they have testimonials of the people who've done it, all of them are like extremely ridiculously transformative.
Oh man.
Like their whole shit changed. And they're all like woosah and shit. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
What say you like?
Well, here's the deal.
You
Here's
think
the
they're
deal,
full of
too.
shit?
No, to some degree. 'Cause, like, listen, I do this sort of stuff for a living, right? So I ask people all the time, like we get testimonials, we do little interviews, talk about your business and stuff like that. And it's like, first of all, any video you watch is like the cream of the crop, like the good things are said. Like I just filming something for a pizza company. It's like they didn't even say that much shit, but we got a couple people like, it's good. And it's like you just clip that, done,
Yeah.
What about a YouTube video
Uh-huh.
where it's not attached to the business?
But
So it's not on their it's not
I
on
don't
their
know.
page.
I feel
Like
like there's a natural pressure, right? Like if I went to a 4-day convention held by you about speaking, I'm your friend. There's no way I'm gonna they're like, oh, do you got a second to talk about it? Like, yeah, Chris scammed me, bro. This thing, I ain't learned shit. I wasted my money. I'm not saying that it isn't transformative, but you pay a bunch of money and then they're like, could you chat about it? And I feel like if you're into stuff like that, you're in a little bit of you're in a certain community and there's no way you're going to be like, actually, it sucked. I hated it and I got nothing out of it. Like,
Mhm.
What about the random who's not a part of your system like that. So someone goes, hey, I've been watching this content creator, Tom, and he's fucking phenomenal. Do you still, and he don't know you, he just wanted to make a review. People do that. They make reviews on people all the time.
Yeah.
So
No,
like,
I'm not saying
that's authentic.
I'm not trying to make it. I'm not going to get into the conspiracies of reviews and if they're all fake and stuff like that.
Fake
But
news.
Well, have you ever given a review on something that you didn't get paid for, or didn't get
my
compensated for?
reviews are either 1 star or fucking 5 stars, and I think that's what I'm getting at. You know.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's either you're gonna fuck the brand or you're gonna clutch them.
Basically, and it's like, yeah, I don't know, you know,
That's what they want.
The times that I've like left, you know, it's like anything less is like strange. And like, you know, I do work on Upwork and I've reviewed other people and stuff like that. And to like just give someone like 4 stars is like just strange. I don't know. Like,
yeah, I don't. Have you ever given like minimal stars?
Nah.
It's either they sucked or they're.
I'm either you suck or you just not getting any stars.
Yeah. Oh, you mean
I just won't
5 stars?
I just won't even put anything.
Do you guys write negative comments online?
No,
I don't.
There's people that do that weird shit. That's so weird to me. Just keep scrolling.
Well,
I would never do that.
What made me think of when you were talking about like, I think everybody naturally like, you know, I have YouTube videos and I got a couple of comments where it's no one's ever like too much of a dick, but like it is funny the ones that
keep
like,
going.
Yeah, they got like a little something and you're just like, the fuck,
right?
Like, you get 10 people saying nice things and stuff like
but
that.
You notice the fucked up one more.
Yeah, but what is funny is I play the moral of the story is that people on the internet are just so toxic, and especially when there's like nothing in the way between you and them.
Yeah,
like, there's nothing like on the line for them. Like it's not like you know, you guys don't like talking about LinkedIn, but it's not like their LinkedIn profiles attached to it.
I like LinkedIn.
That. And so I play, you know, we play Call of Duty, and like it's always just first of all, it's crazy just how racist people are. One,
oh yeah,
two, it's like, you know, the worst stuff you could possibly. It's like it's progressed from 2008, and it's so funny. Just how, like,
man, I can only imagine.
No context, basically. Like you just get in like the lobby, and like you play round 1, and it's just like
it's wild.
It's wild.
Oh, that's crazy.
And it's like because you know it's just like a username and some guy in his house, and it's funny because like we'll you know my whole group of friends we'll have different voices and like we're talking shit too.
Yeah.
But it's like if you actually think about it, it's like, you know, I have a business. They have
right.
Like,
right.
We're all like
that's
good, normal people, like have been to church. Like we're not we're not the persona we give out by any means. But people on the internet are just vicious, man.
You know what? Say. I actually have a fucked up story. I was playing on, this is back when I was online pretty heavy. You can get emotionally attached to that shit. So like, let's say I missed a shot and I'm going against the other team. And then I've gone to the fact where I've gone to the point where I'm like yelling, and I'm not gonna yell here, but like, motherfucker, take your bitch ass. And I would go hard, and they were doing the same. So we're just screaming at each other. Nobody's hearing nothing. It's rude as fuck. But like, it's like, think about. How about this on some real shit? I allowed myself when LeBron James went against Kyrie Irving, he like didn't stand up for Kyrie. I was emotionally invested in that to the point, LeBron, mind you, that I took the shoes. I was so mad at him and so against the fact that he was mad at Kyrie for whatever reason. That's not the discussion. No, I was so emotionally invested that a pair of shoes that were those LeBrons that were at the old podcast. Remember those shoes that were given to me as a gift that said CARESNONE on them, perfect condition. I was so mad at him of being wound up in this life shit, this world bullshit, this what do you call it? Economic bullshit. And I ripped the shoes off and then posted it online.
Hey Chris, what you be on, bro?
and then like actually a lot of people fuck with me. Some people are like, you're an idiot because you paid for the shoes. Like, why would you do that?
Because you're LeBron.
But when I think about it, that's how I see it. My point is that's how wrapped up I got to I was talking to Steve about this the other day. And I'm like, I cannot believe I allowed myself to get that wrapped up into, because would I give going back to that original point, would I care about LeBron going against Kyrie on my deathbed? Nope. I think most of the shit that we really care about, you probably won't care about a lot of that on your deathbed. And I've been coming through that realization recently that's really helping my stress levels go down almost to nil, because I'm like, I don't think I would care. at the end of the day.
Right.
I think there's so little. I see the point you're trying to make there, but I feel like there's so little that I'd care about on my deathbed. You know, whereas like the stuff
Probably only your family, right?
Yeah, pretty much
friends.
only your family. But you know, again, I just feel like yeah. I mean, so little, but I feel like you can't quite live life.
No,
with that mind,
again,
you know what I mean?
well, again, if in my opinion, if you're like, I don't give a fuck about nothing to the detriment of your reality, then I think that's wrong. But I still think you could play this game of life and still look at it as just a game of life.
Right.
Shut up. I really feel that way. So
yeah,
you know,
that's how it is. That's what game. It's a game. This shit is a game of life. They don't
like real talk. It's a game. To me, and I know we got a few minutes. To me, it really seems like it feels like we're playing a real life Grand Theft Auto.
This is true. This is true.
It is, yeah.
We're just the real version, and there's a cut fucking camera, and there's some people who believe that that's, you know, we're in a simulation. Again, I'm not going there, but you literally could do everything that we could do on San Andreas.
Right.
I can go get something to eat. It's just imagine 10,000 years from today, assuming we're still here, and assuming where the technology is today. Assuming when I was on TikTok and somebody was playing The Last of Us
Sure.
And it looked, I'm like, this shit looks good. Like, and I remember playing 2K, feeling like, they making it feel like you really in the league.
Really in that bitch.
Imagine 1,000 years from now, how vicious the technology will be.
I think even by the time that we're pretty old, yeah, like I think we'll be able to get to a point pretty quickly where it's like the alternate reality of games or just VR goggles. Like you'll be able to go into a pod and like you can, San Andreas somewhere else. You know? And like obviously, I don't think we're at that point with like food and stuff like that. You'll still have to pee, but like I think
like Ready Player One,
where it's like you'll just you'll I imagine like China where it's like you'll have like a little apartment. It'll be like the size of this. You'll have like a bathroom, and then like just
hop in your chair,
your game setup, and it's like you'll just live there, and like it's fucked up. But yeah, I think that'll happen. It won't take 10,000 years.
You think it'll be before our lifetime is over?
I mean, I think there's already people that are like addicted to video games and that sort of culture. So like I think once they dial in VR a little bit and it looks lifelike, and you can just put on the goggles and now you're playing like Super Mario and you're there.
Oh
like,
shit!
Or like you're just a racer, or like even like you said, it was San Andreas. Like you could just put yourself in a different city and you could have
live there
this whole other life. Like,
Did you see the one guy? He's got a vest where if you put it on, you literally die in real life.
That's fucked up.
It's a real thing. It's fucked up.
Oh,
but he put on it and you play the game and you get shot.
Oh my God.
I don't know how I read. Maybe I'm bullshitting when I read that headline, but I was like,
hardcore mode.
I know, right?
Think about it though. So listen, think about this point. Who's to say? So you see how AI is getting ridiculous now, right? But the one thing that they don't know, they know everything. They can predict anything that we were going to say. But what they cannot do is tell you what it feels like to do something.
Mm-hmm.
That's a human being thing. What's to say 1,000 years from now where they've gotten so smart, the technology, so you got the AGI, artificial general intelligence, that they decide, you know what? I kind of want to know all things. I know everything else except what these human beings know. What if they found a way to turn themselves into human? Who's to say that we're not that? Just on some thought experiment shit. Who's to say that we're not the artificial intelligence from whatever? Because think about it, your brain, you're just computing shit. That's all we're doing. Think about it. If you're driving a car and you got a hot coffee in your hand with no lid on, and you don't want it to spill and you hit bumps, your body is automatically calculating what you would need to do as best as it can to not spill it. That's calculations. You're also seeing all kind of shit. You're seeing the dog that you see your peripheral, but your brain's still processing all that shit, but your brain's designed to make you focus on the things that's necessary to keep you going. So who's to say that we're not the AI from fucking 10,000 years? You know what I'm saying?
I think we are the AI.
I think so too.
That's called DNA. It's called genetics. It's called birthing other species. It's evolution.
I think the part that's going to be hard is the fact that we look at it now as like this physical, like technology, you know what I'm saying? Like,
but I think that's
stuff.
I think we are the physical technology. I mean, that's what literally birthing another human is creating DNA with something else, coagulating DNA with something else and creating something new, a new form of something. So it's the same type of technology. It's just biological.
So biological technology.
Yeah, I think we're just a biological technology that's kind of been happening over
So
the
Tom,
time.
what do you say before we get out of here? What do you say technology? What is technology to you?
That's a big one. But I see what you're saying, Derek.
I do too.
And I don't participate in the whole like we're in a simulation kind of thing, but I think it's possible. Like as what I was just hyping up, like I think we could get there pretty.
Yeah.
You know, we'll get there at some point where it's like I could just put on my goggles and I
do
could be
whatever?
Chris CARESNONE, you know, like
Yeah.
I could be whoever
And
basically,
experience
you know. But technology to me, I don't know. Man.
Crazy
That's
thought.
too big.
That
of
is
a
deep, and that's for the
question
next
to
episode. That's for the next episode.
Nah, I like that. I like
really
that. I
quick,
like that.
where
I like
can they
that.
find you at, man?
Oh, well, actually,
Yeah, drop it, man. I wanted to bring it up. We could talk about it, but
oh yeah, absolutely.
give us a little thing.
Really?
We're
Yes,
still
yes.
okay-ish on time. We're just
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, definitely. So I just want to preface this by saying traveling really changed my life. That's something that really opened my mind up to becoming who I am. Me experiencing the world and me experiencing other cultures, that really shaped who I am because it allowed me to see other people and see what different parts of humanity can be. What are the different parts that we can actually be? And that helped me become who I am, choose the different parts. So I wanted to offer my love for traveling in a different way. So that became, or the way that I was able to do that was by Pretty Cool Travels and Pretty Cool Maps. Pretty Cool Maps is going to be my products. That's my product store where I have my different items that are map printed. You can find dresses, summer dresses on there. It's going to be, you got different button-up shirts, hats, travel gear. I'm actually adding some home decor items
I was
as
about
well.
to say home decor.
Yeah, I got
probably?
some home decor items
That's gotta
coming
be a
up
big
too.
one.
That's going to be a really big one. I actually got some working on that right now.
'Cause you got a bunch of home map shit
Yeah,
in your house.
and I had to
Right.
start thinking about that. Like I have that type of stuff. I need to start having that
globes and
available.
shit?
Yeah, clothes, all that.
Globes.
Excuse me. Yeah, I need to get that on there too. So that's Pretty Cool Maps, and that's a product that I want to offer, and that's something that means the world to me, literally. But then Pretty Cool Travels is a service.
Pun intended.
Right. Pretty Cool Travels is a service that I want to offer because that's very important. So Pretty Cool Travels is something new. It's a competitor to like Kayak, if you will. So it's a meta search website for travels. So basically, if you want to do any flights, hotels, car rentals, bike rentals, anywhere around the world, you can do four-wheelers, anything like that, tours. It's pretty much a site for you to service yourself and get to experience the world and get it to mean something to you. This world is very big. It deserves your attention. And it's going to change your life when you experience it because it helps you. By seeing other people, you get to learn yourself more. So when you go to Pretty Cool Maps, you wear the gear, you feel like a traveler, you feel like you're experiencing the world. When you go to Pretty Cool Travels, you book your experience. Pretty Cool Travels, prettycoolmaps.com.
And I can attest that it works because we have purchased flights through his site. It's legit. It's smooth as fuck. I literally I did it, 3 days ago,
Yeah,
2 days ago. It's legit. I got a ticket. So y'all can attest that and I know
Right.
It's like, oh, you're the podcast host. You probably, just like you were saying, I'm just saying that I'm telling you on everything I love.
Yeah.
I purchased something through his site of travel.
Appreciate you, brother.
The
And-
site was smooth too. I pulled
Very
it up.
smooth.
I mean, I haven't bought it,
the
but
prices were the same because
Right.
you're doing the same. It ain't
Yeah.
like there's more. It's
Right.
like, it's the prices.
Right. And I want to get some game too. I just preached and kind of spilled and whatnot, but seriously, look, this is the real game. I'm no different than Kayak. What I did was I just created this website for $140. That's what I did. I paid somebody $140 to do that. The only difference between me and Kayak is that they have millions of dollars to market that. Okay. I have money to market towards you, and I have a mouth to market towards the people who care about what we care about.
Speaking.
You know what I mean? So that's the audience that I want to target. I care about you all caring about us. We need to make it together. We're independent. We're the ones that want to look out for each other. So if you all can utilize my site to take care of your travels and your worldly experiences, I would greatly appreciate
Here's
it.
what it comes down to. It's very simple. If you're going anywhere, check if you rock with us, go through his site because it's the same prices. If you're gonna give Kayak the money, you might as well give somebody who you support.
Absolutely.
It's the same exact thing, and I just did it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Tom, where can they find you, man?
you can find us at Chicago Podcast Studio. And we got things coming, man. We got new renovations happening, dude. And I just want to say as a quick sidebar, I'm proud of all of us here, man. I feel
Thank
like we
you.
all-
Man.
we all
Thank you. I'm
got-
proud of you, man.
We all got stuff going on, and I feel like we're all maybe in a happier place than we were when we maybe all met, you know. So
Yeah,
but yeah, Chicago Podcast .studio, baby.
Good shit. Good shit.
But Christopher, you tell us. Wrap us
the
up.
man of the hour.
And lastly, man, my the speaking shit.
Tell me.
I was built for this shit.
Mm.
Hell yeah.
I really do believe that. And now I'm starting to realize, and you kind of taught me this a little bit, which how the stories or what you were doing at that one time, it all leads up to like this big story, your story. And I've noticed all these little things that I was doing to get me to the point where I am today. For instance, doing live streams, even this one, but I guess we're not really interacting as much. But when I'm on Instagram or TikTok, that's public speaking. It's just digitally,
right?
But
Right
it's still on point. You still got to be able to tell your story clean, where people understand what you're saying, they rock with you. And so I'm like, oh, by doing that, got me ready to do, because it is different in person, especially if someone who dealt with social anxiety. So I'm telling y'all right now, I'm 150,000% all in on being the number one motivational speaker on earth.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe the way to do that is, one, to do it, but then two, to just learn to tell my story as perfectly as I can, and to learn how to tell it to different audiences and then make it for that audience. Because not every audience needs to hear the exact same story. But I do believe all of our stories can help some audience. And lastly, the gym. I'm telling y'all right now, I've been hella focused. I've been going to the gym religiously lifting weights for 3 months. But just 3 days ago is when I got serious with the food. Because I've definitely gotten stronger. But okay, you've been going to the gym, but if you eat a fucking donut for, you know what I'm saying?
Right,
like,
right.
You kind of not neglecting it because you're still building muscle, but you could get so much more accomplished if you aligned your food with the weightlifting. And the reason I'm saying that is because I can tell that I feel more confident, because I really do believe it's building muscle has made me, my endorphins are popping, and I feel like I'm even more confident than I was before because I feel physically stronger. So
good shit, bro.
I really feel good about that. I'm in a really good place mentally, y'all. So I'm proud of you two fools.
Proud of you boys.
Yeah,
proud of you boys.
Proud
man.
of y'all.
Y'all doing well.
And as always,
yeah.
CARESNONE! Can't even do it.
I know.